Good day. Thanks for taking a look at my video. Today we're going to do a first part of a two-part series. Even though, for all intents and purposes, you could watch these separately, it wouldn't hurt you whatsoever. But we're about to talk about how to download Ubuntu 11.10 or 11.10. And in our next video, we'll talk about how to install it on a USB drive for installation on a computer. But the first thing you want to do is you want to download it and get it. Now, if you go to ubuntu.com in a web browser, such as we have here, you'll see a page that looks something like this. However, when you look at it, it may look a little differently. Ubuntu does have a tendency to change the look of their web page every once in a while, so not a big deal. But usually the first thing they'll offer you is an ability to download the latest version right from here. Even if you don't want this version, maybe you want to get an older version, let's say, or you're going to download that as well, you can get it from the same page. So let's click on this now, and we'll wait for the page to load up here, and there we go. Now we got the page loaded. Now you can see over here I've got a little bit of a broken thing here for Twitter. And the reason for that is this Twitter is being really incredibly stupidly slow today, so it was causing my web browser to take forever to load this page. So I actually disabled Twitter, and now it's working really fast and really fine. But anyways, we're not here to complain about Twitter. So the first thing it tells us here is it says you can download and install it, try it from a USB or CD stick. And the last option, of course, is to run it from Windows, right? So you get one of the three that you can pick from, depending on how you want to do it. Running it from Windows, as you can see here, is using the Wooby installer, and that's something completely different. I've been debating about doing a video for that, but in order to do that, I need to allocate space for an install of that nature. So it's something I'm still playing with, and I'm not sure if I really want to do it, because for many people dual booting is probably a better scenario if you need to run Windows and Linux. It's not that hard, and it tends to be less trouble overall than Wooby, but that's something to keep in mind. You can, like I say, once you've downloaded it, we can go ahead and do this. Now in our case, since we're actually running it from an Ubuntu machine, we could actually install it once we've downloaded it directly, and it would do an upgrade. We don't have to do that, we could just do an upgrade. So assuming that this is, you want to download the ISO so that you can either put it on a CD or put it on a USB stick. So let's click on download and install, and it'll bring us right to the version that we want. So it'll automatically presume you want the latest version and you want a 32-bit version of it. So for instance, if you want a 64-bit version of Ubuntu, you would check this to 64-bit, and now you can download the latest version, 64-bit. And it'll always tell you over here what you've selected. Okay, now this will only work providing that you're allowing JavaScripts and whatnot to run. If not, you're going to have a lot of issues on this page. If you didn't want this version, let's say you want the other release version, which is 10.04 LTS, you can select that to download it. And that's actually what we're using right now to do this on. Not that it matters, you could do it on virtually anything you want. You could even download this if you're on a Windows machine, it would give you the same options. So once you've done that, you can click on the little button over here to say start the download. And what it'll automatically do is it'll go to a website and actually start burning trying to download the disk. And as you can see here, we now get the image. It comes up, says this is the file that we're downloading and what we should do with it. And we definitely want to save the file and click OK. Now that's just if you want to just download it. That may work very well. However, some people might prefer an alternate method of downloading. And if you look over here, you have this method over here. Now, you might be mistaken, like if you're doing this from a Windows machine, you see this here and you say, oh, well, let's download this instead. So you want to click on this. This is the Wooby installer. So this will actually run an executable on your Windows machine to install it side by side. You probably don't want to do that. If you do want to do a Wooby install, then this is the way you could do that. But for alternative downloads, we'll click on alternative downloads here, and it'll tell us, okay, The other alternative downloading is using Bittorrent. Now, you may have heard some negative things about Bittorrent, but trust me when I say that Bittorrent is a very handy way of downloading large files. So it's what its primary method is all about. And 700, 800 megabyte files, which the Ubuntu builds are large downloads. So in this example, let's say we want to download 1110 desktop, which is a standard version for most people that they want to use. i386 is the 32-bit version. AMD 64 is the 64-bit version. Doesn't matter whether you're using an Intel or AMD processor, it's the same thing. You have the alternate downloads here. Now, the alternate downloads can be handy, especially if you've got a really badly broken system and you need to repair it, as the alternate CD actually includes the recovery methods from recovering from a broken system. If you're doing a server download, you can download these two, one of these two or both of these if you wish. It also gives us the same thing for the 10.04 long-term solution. And then the Woobi installer is available to us. Now, if we want to do a DVD download, now this is a lot, has a little bit more information on it, particularly language packs. So for instance, if you're wanting to run a German version or a French version or Chinese version or Japanese version or whatever, you're better off to get a DVD download, because that'll include all the language packs. They simply do not fit on the CD with the way it is. But assuming for them, you can also install the language packs later. That's fine and dandy. But if you want to actually run it in the language that you want and do the install right from scratch in your language that you want, you're better off to do the DVD downloads. So that pretty much covers all the different downloading options available to you. There's a few other options for acquiring Ubuntu if you want. Like, for instance, you could buy a CD-ROM so that you don't have to download it. And it's already on a CD, so you don't have to burn it or figure out how to do that either. But for the rest of you that are okay with that, let's go ahead and download our latest version of Ubuntu. So assuming we want 1110 desktop, 32-bit ISO. And we're going to use Bittorrent to download it. Again, we get a very familiar window. This time it'll ask us if we want to open it in our Bittorrent client, which on our Linux machine here is transmission. And we can say, yes, that's okay. So we download that little file, and it automatically will start. As you can see here, it'll bring up a window for adding it to transmission. And then once we're done, we just click on this and say add, and away we go. Now the thing is going to continue on, and oh, pardon me, it'll go on and start to download that file now. Now, with BitTorrents, typically is a really recommended way of doing things, especially during close to release date. Like now, it's not so bad. It's been a couple weeks since Ubuntu has been released, so the downloading tends to kind of drop off a little bit, which can make doing this traditional download very easy to do. In our case, using the BitTorrent is really handy, especially during release days, because everyone's downloading it, and as a consequence, you can get your hands on it very fast. So however you choose to download it, whether you choose to use a BitTorrent client, you choose a DVD download, whichever way you do it, even if you choose a DVD download, you can still choose to download it through BitTorrent. So that's one of the things you can certainly keep in mind if you prefer doing it that way. Now, there's also this page here, which they call here the enhanced download page, and I'll show you that briefly here, just so you can get an idea as to what you're looking at. And there we are. The enhanced page is the original one that we were looking at earlier. And so in our next video, we'll be coming back to this particular page, because it actually will show us the processes through burning your CD or creating a bootable USB stick, which is what our next part of our video will be, is actually doing that. So thank you very much. I hope this was helpful to you. If you've had any questions or not understanding the different options or what to click on, that type of thing, If you do have any further questions or still things aren't clear, feel free to go right ahead and leave me a comment below, or you can contact me directly if you can by sending me an email at my YouTube account. And the best way to do that is just to click on the my username and then send me a message, and that'll send me an email directly. So thank you very much again for taking a look at my video, and we'll see you next time.